John Smith was a man of straightforward joys. Living in a curious waterfront town, he tracked down euphoria in the everyday practice of his regular routine. Morning runs along the ocean side, evenings burned through keeping an eye on his little bookshop, and nights enjoying the peaceful nightfalls that painted the sky in tints of orange and pink. However, notwithstanding his satisfaction, a piece of him yearned for something else, something that he couldn't exactly name. One fresh harvest time morning, as John arranged his bookshop for the day's guests, the ringer over the entryway tolled, flagging the appearance of a client. John turned upward from his errand to see a lady remaining in the entryway, her eyes wide with amazement. She had a demeanor of tastefulness, with her reddish hair flowing in free twists and a grin that could illuminate the gloomiest of days. "Hello," she said, her voice delicate and melodic. "I trust I'm not too soon." "Not the least bit," John answered, putting down his heap of books. "Welcome to Smith's Books. What might I do for you today?" "I'm simply perusing, thank you," she answered, her eyes previously examining the racks. "I've as of late moved to town and I'm anxious to investigate." John watched her as she traveled through the walkways, her fingers delicately following the spines of the books. There was something about her that enamored him, something that mixed an inclination profound inside his heart. Sooner or later, the lady moved toward the counter with a couple of books close by. "These are awesome," she said, putting them down. "I go by Emma, coincidentally." "John," he presented himself, shaking her hand. "It's a delight to meet you, Emma." Over the course of the following couple of weeks, Emma turned into a customary guest to the bookshop. She and John started up a relationship, sharing tales about their lives and their #1 books. John discovered that Emma was an essayist, having moved to the town to track down motivation for her next novel. She, thus, found that John had acquired the bookshop from his granddad, a man who had imparted in him a profound love for writing. As their companionship bloomed, John ended up anticipating Emma's visits to an ever-increasing extent. He valued their discussions and the manner in which she caused him to feel invigorated and confident. There was a flash between them, an implicit association that neither could deny. One night, as the sun plunged underneath the skyline, projecting a brilliant sparkle over the town, John and Emma ended up sitting on a seat sitting above the sea. They watched in agreeable quietness, the waves delicately lapping at the shore. "John," Emma started, ending the quietness, "I've been thinking a great deal of late about the tales we read and the narratives we live." He went to her, fascinated. "Your meaning could be a little more obvious." Emma moaned, her look fixed not too far off. "In books, love generally appears to be so clear, so direct. However, all things considered, it's more muddled, right? It's untidy and questionable." John gestured, figuring out reality in a way that would sound natural to her. "It very well may be. Yet, in some cases, the vulnerability makes it even more lovely." Emma took a gander at him, her eyes looking through his. "At any point do you feel like your life is missing something? Like there's a piece of you that yearns for more?" John's heart skirted a thump. He had that impression for such a long time, yet hearing Emma's voice it made the inclination even more genuine. "Indeed," he conceded delicately. "Indeed I do." Their eyes locked, and at that time, the implicit association between them developed further. Emma connected and clasped John's hand with hers, a basic signal that said a lot. "John," she murmured, "I think I've found where I've been going wrong." John's breath trapped in his throat. "Furthermore, what is that?" "You," she answered, her voice scarcely perceptible. A flood of feelings crashed over John, happiness, trust, and a significant feeling of having a place. He understood that Emma had turned into the lacking part of his life, the individual who caused all that to feel total. Automatically, John inclined in and squeezed his lips to hers, a delicate kiss that conveyed every one of the sentiments he had kept locked away. Emma answered in kind, and briefly, time stopped. At the point when they at last pulled away, both were winded, their hearts hustling. John looked at Emma, seeing his own sentiments reflected in her look. "Emma," he said, his voice loaded up with feeling, "I've been hanging tight for you my entire life." She grinned, her eyes sparkling with tears of joy. Also, I've been looking for you, John. From that second on, John and Emma's lives were entwined. They went through their days investigating the town, sharing their fantasies, and supporting each other in their interests. John tracked down new motivation in Emma's enthusiasm for composing, while Emma drew strength from John's unfaltering help. As the seasons changed, their affection just developed further. They confronted difficulties together, enduring tempests and celebrating wins. Through everything, they clutched the information that they had tracked down something really unique, an affection that was immortal and persevering. At some point, as they strolled inseparably along the ocean side, John halted and went to Emma. "There's something I need to show you," he said, driving her to a disconnected place where the waves ran into the stones. He ventured into his pocket and took out a little, velvet box. Emma's eyes extended in shock as he opened it to uncover a sensitive ring, the setting getting the daylight. "Emma," John started, his voice shaking with feeling, "you've given such a lot of pleasure and love into my life. I can't envision going through one more day without you close by. Will you wed me?" Tears filled Emma's eyes as she took a gander at the one who had turned into her beginning and end. "Indeed, John," she answered, her voice stifled with satisfaction. "Multiple times, yes." With shaking hands, John slipped the ring onto Emma's finger, fixing their guarantee to one another. As they embraced, their general surroundings appeared to disappear, leaving just both of them and the affection they shared. John and Emma's wedding was a festival of their excursion, a demonstration of the force of affection and the magnificence of finding one's perfect partner. Encircled by loved ones, they promised to treasure and support one another, to confront life's difficulties together, and to continuously clutch the adoration that had united them. As they traded rings and fixed their commitments with a kiss, John realized that he had found his for eternity. Emma was his accomplice, his friend, and his most prominent love. Together, they left on another section, their hearts confident and their lives entwined in a bond that would endure forever. In the years that followed, John and Emma fabricated a day-to-day existence loaded up with adoration and chuckling. They invited kids into their reality, showing them the upsides of thoughtfulness, empathy, and the significance of following one's fantasies. They kept on tracking down delight in the basic joys, consistently appreciative for the love that had united them. Thus, John and Emma's romantic tale turned into an immortal story, an update that genuine romance merits sitting tight for, and that occasionally, the most lovely stories are the ones we live. I really want to believe that you partook in the story. Inform me as to whether there's much else you might want to add or change.